Hey, what's up, everyone? Steve and Chris here. Thanks for checking out episode 14 of the Steve in the Hood Presents Boston Sports Podcast, brought to you by diehard Boston sports fans. Gonna have a couple of very special guests tonight. First one being, he's the broadcaster for your New England Patriots on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Now entering his 5th season, Bob Socci. How's it going, Bob? Thanks for jumping on with us.
Hey, Steve, Chris, it's great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Yeah, it's quite an honor to have someone like you. I mean, I personally, every week, pretty much turn down the TV sound and put on yourself and Zoe because I just think it's a much better experience during the game. So it's pretty surreal actually getting to talk to you on the phone.
Having said that, honestly, the honor's mine. I really appreciate the fact that you do that and listen to us. And I hope that what you're seeing is consistent with what you're hearing. But working with Zoe is great. Being a part of the Patriots broadcast has been anything I could have ever hoped for and more. And it's great to be with you guys this evening.
Fantastic. So, I mean, when you were growing up, did you always aspire to be like the broadcaster for the Patriots, or how did that work out for you?
Yeah, no, I always wanted to be a broadcaster, that's for sure. And going back to when I was in Little League Baseball or trying to play youth sports in upstate New York, in the middle of New York State, the Finger Lakes, and my number one goal was to be a sports broadcaster. And back at that time, I want to be a national network broadcaster. The voices of my youth were people like Kurt Gowdy, BC Game of the Week, or Joe Garagiola and Tony Kubek calling baseball, or on the NFL broadcast, listening to Pat Summerall, and back then Tom Brookshire, and of course I mentioned Gowdy on NBC with someone like Merlin Olsen. Yeah, those were the guys that I really aspired to be like, and over the course of time got into the business and started pursuing my goals in broadcasting, and did a lot of minor league baseball through the years, and started calling college football at the U.S. Naval Academy back in 1997. And I did that through 2012. And along the way, during that period of time, I got to know about Bill Belichick and Steve Belichick, of course, while at the Naval Academy. And back in 2001, not having a particular rooting interest in the NFL at that point, I just wanted to be a broadcaster who called NFL games. I started to follow the Patriots in part because Navy football, honestly, was so bad at the time that, there's one thing to be proud about as a football fan. There's so much to be proud about at the Naval Academy, but as a football fan of Navy, was the fact that you had this connection in Bill Belichick leading the Patriots to the Super Bowl, and, of course, one of the great upsets in sports history in beating the Rams that year. And then eventually, a number of years later, met my wife, who is from the Boston area, and we decided to move to New England. I started working in 2007, still in the Mid-Atlantic. I was working there while we started living here in New England, in the Boston area, and I commuted back and forth for 4 to 5 years, and I started knocking on doors, trying to find work in the Hub. And eventually, after the Sports Hub launched, I was fortunate enough to get an audience with 98.5, the Sports Hub's program director, Mike Thomas, and his assistant, Rick Radsick. I left a CD. Back then, that's how we auditioned for jobs, or at least tried to attract the interest of a future employer, and that's by putting highlights or play-by-play on a CD, and they were kind enough to listen to it. They didn't have a job for me, but several years later, Gil Santos retired. And although I didn't dream of being the Patriots announcer as a kid, I really sincerely can say that it's been a dream that I've lived since 2013 when I was hired by the Sports Hub. The opportunity to call games for an organization with such devout following, and an organization that is so good on and off the field. To me, I can't imagine a better job in broadcasting, that's for sure.
That's a great story, for sure. Perseverance paid off, definitely. Is there any game that sticks more than the next one for you?
I love everything about the job. I love all the games. I get excited about preseason games, honestly. And I've had the great fortune, obviously, guys, of calling 2 Super Bowls and 2 of the great comebacks, not only in Super Bowl history, but in sports history, for the Patriots against the Seahawks and the Falcons. And have had that experience, that's surreal. When you use that word, to me, that's what that experience was like. It's like an out-of-body experience, and it's hard to believe that it happened. But you know what? I'll be as excited about going to Denver in 2 weeks when the Patriots take on the Broncos as I was about preparing for last year's Super Bowl. And I know that kind of sounds cliched, but I just love what we do. I love preparing for games and trying to be better the next week than the last week. The opportunity to be a part of an organization like the Pats is something I try not to take for granted. I probably do too often. When I consider, what some of my peers, have experienced in the NFL, many of them have called very few playoff games, if any at all. So I try not to take that lightly. I try not to take it for granted. And so therefore, I think, I look forward to every game, hopefully with the same level of excitement. And not every game turns out to be as exciting or as fulfilling, but that's the way I try to approach it.
Is there one stadium that sticks out more than the others to you, where you enjoy calling the football games at?
Yeah, I'd have to say Lambeau Field in Green Bay because of the history that's preserved there. And also to the environment. We played there late in the year. The Patriots had gone on a road trip. It ended in San Diego, which was beautiful. Not necessarily the stadium, but being in San Diego was great. But it started in 2014 in Green Bay, and it was a frigid day, just as you hope it would be on the frozen tundra. And the stadium has been fairly recently renovated, and they did a great job at Green Bay, much like the Hall of Patriot Place, of building a museum and a Hall of Fame for the Packers. But beyond that, and touring that part of Lambeau Field, it's just being in that bowl of the stadium, the bleachers and the grass, and looking around their ring of honor around the stadium and seeing names like Bart Starr and Vince Lombardi. That was really cool. And it was a great game. It was Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, although it wasn't the outcome we hoped for. Nonetheless, it was really a great game to watch and call. And again, I think the colors, the green and gold against the Patriots, red, white, and blue, the setting, kind of the feeling at that time too. You know what? This could be a preview of the Super Bowl. It made that particular game a great one to call. And as far as road stadiums go, I try to enjoy all of them as much as I can. As I said earlier, not all the games turn out to be as exciting, and not all the venues turn out to be as great. I like going to Buffalo in the division, frankly. Now, it might be a little different this year because we're playing the Bills later on the calendar. Usually, in my experience, we've played them pretty early, and the weather's been great. But this year's going to be a different story when we see them in the final month of the year. But Buffalo's kind of a unique place in the NFL. It's kind of like a college environment. The fans are liquored up pretty well, so they're really fired up. As you guys can imagine, they hate the Patriots. Yeah. So they're really into it from the time the buses pull into the parking lot. And, the stadium is one of those old horseshoe-type stadiums, and you're right down as a broadcaster, kind of in the crowd. You're separated in your booth, but you really get a feel for the crowd, and it's loud, and it's really a great environment. So I enjoy going to Buffalo.
Nice.
Yeah, that's kind of looking like a little bit harder of a game this year. They look pretty decent. Yeah,
they're playing well. They're doing things that are winning games by not beating themselves, frankly. They're not turning the ball over, and they're taking the ball away defensively. And Sean McDermott's done a great job there. It's interesting. I think they've added by subtracting in a lot of ways with their team. They got rid of Sammy Watkins, Ronald Darby from the secondary, of course. They didn't re-sign Gilmore, who jumped to the Patriots before the Bills really ever had a chance to in free agency. But LaShawn McCoy's running it pretty well. Tyrod Taylor's not turning the ball over, and their defense is winning them games. Special teams is winning them games. And, that's a good formula for Western New York, especially with the weather there. I think you got to have a kind of a blue-collar, rough-and-tough football team that's physical on defense and can run the ball. I know it's a passing league and it's a quarterback league, but I think for the Bills, they're headed in the right direction. They have great influence from the Panthers organization. Brandon Beane, the GM, McDermott, the head coach, was the defensive coordinator for the Panthers. And, you see a team that employs two fullbacks. Who does that anymore in the NFL? Most teams don't even have one fullback. But to me, it signals kind of a shift in their thinking from, a head coach who made it all about him with a front office that wanted to make splash moves, like trading several high-round picks to get Watkins, for example, when really that wasn't the best move for the Buffalo Bills. And I think McDermott and Bean have the right approach, and we'll see if they can sustain it. But it's a much better team right now, and it figures to be a difficult test, and it's going to be really fascinating to watch them take on the Jets this week on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they've beaten some good teams this year, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do. They just picked up Kelvin Benjamin yesterday, so that was a pretty good pickup for them, too. So see how it plays out.
I'm looking forward to yeah, and we already saw enough of him as a Panther. Right. Now we get to see him 2 more times against the Patriots.
Yeah, a lot of people, the experts, pick on the AFC East, but it's been a pretty decent division this year.
Yeah, I think, too, guys, if you look at the AFC East in recent years, out of division, it's more than held its own. And, the fact that the Patriots have been so dominant in the division, I think, clouds the perspective of a lot of people. And it leaves a lot of people to be misinformed, frankly. I'm not saying that, the AFC East is the strongest division in football, but I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for. I mean, last year the Dolphins got in. A couple of years ago, the Jets were on the brink of getting into the playoffs with one of the best defenses in the league. The Patriots, even when they go 5-1, or if they're fortunate enough to sweep the division, and that rarely happens, they have a tough time in the division in games, as we saw with the Jets, for example, down in the Meadowlands. That's typical of a game between the Patriots and one of their division foes. And I think you look at the Patriots and their success. Well, a lot of people will say they feasted on the AFC East because they finish atop the division year in, year out. Well, that means they also have to play the most difficult, or one of the most difficult, out-of-division schedules. You're matched up with playoff teams from the other 3 divisions in the AFC every year. And they win those games by a wide margin when you look at the win-loss record. And they win games against the other conference in the NFC. They have the best interconference record during the course of Brady and Belichick's tenure together. So, I think it's easy to take shots at the AFC East, but when you really look at it, I think from an objective point of view, and I'm not saying that my view is objective, but I think if someone really tries to take a step back and examine the division, they see that, it's not as simple as the Patriots rolling over the AFC East. It's a much better division, like I said, than people give it credit for.
Is there any players that you've met along the way that you were kind of like awestruck to meet, like for the first time? Like, wow, I'm actually talking to such and such a player.
Good one.
No, I can't say that. I can't say that I've been. Honestly, as great as Tom Brady is among the all-time best, and Rob Gronkowski and those other players. Yeah, I think for me sometimes it's more of the historical figures in sports that I have a greater not affinity for, but I think you think of and look at more as a fan, for example, than the people that you're working around on a day-to-day basis. I worked at the Naval Academy, as I mentioned, and there are a lot of young men and women that I had a chance to interact with and be around during my 16 years there that most Americans have never heard of and never will. But I tell you what, those are the people that I'm in awe of, and so for me, the NFL, I have tremendous respect. The ultimate respect for what these guys do and what they go through to play this game, especially those who play it at the highest level. And there are a lot of Patriots that I've been around that I really respect and admire for their personal qualities. And people like Matthew Slater and Devin McCourty and Nate Solder and so many others that give of themselves week in, week out to their communities around them and give back and inspire other people and make other lives better. So I do, I'm not awestruck, but I'm certainly someone who admires those qualities and enjoy being around those types of people. But I can't say that I'm in awe of any of them. I've met a few Hall of Famers that, like I say, I step back. Like Roger Staubach, for example, talking about Navy. Roger Staubach is a guy, but when you're around him, there's a certain air. And it's almost like royalty for me. So, I would say that's probably the closest that I've gotten to, being an awe of anybody.
Decent. Any questions, Steve?
Yeah, so back to Super Bowl 51 for a minute. As the Patriots are coming back in that, can you really kind of grasp what's going on, or are you just kind of too busy calling the game?
Yeah, Steve, you kind of get into that mode where you're just calling the game and it's unfolding, and you usually when there's a comeback, you have a feeling, okay, it's like a tidal wave, and there's momentum that's building, and the other team is starting to fall apart, and you get a sense, they're going to come back and win this game, or at least they're going to come back and get in this game. The strange thing about Super Bowl 51 is that as the Patriots started to come back, it was almost a case of one step forward, a half step back, 2 steps forward, a step back. They score a touchdown after they trailed by the 28-3 score, but they missed the extra point. Then the Falcons recover the onside kick. But the Patriots knock them out of field goal range. And the Patriots get the strip sack from Dante Hightower, and they score. But then the Falcons get the great catch by Julio Jones. And so you're thinking, okay, the Pats are coming back 1 minute, but then the next minute, oh, no, here we go again. Another sensational catch that goes against them. But the Flowers gets the sack, and then there's a holding call, and lo and behold, the Patriots coming back. And so I think the one sense you had that it was going to happen for sure was once it got to overtime. And I know a lot of people have said that. You try to stay on top of the situation. You try to think along with the coaches a little bit. How much time is left? When do you use your timeouts? Things of that nature. Do you go no huddle? Do you got to have a sense of urgency out there when you're describing the game? And Zoe and I, he certainly does a great job of analyzing it and covering all those bases. But I think in that particular game, and he has said this as well, it was more of an out-of-body experience. It was happening, and you were describing it, but you're caught up in the moment, and it's really only the final stages of that game when you truly get a sense of what's taken place, just how remarkable it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know. As soon as, White scored the touchdown, it's like, wow. Kind of hit you, what they just accomplished. At least as a fan.
I still find it, yeah, Steve, Chris, I still find it hard to believe sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I never really felt they were going to win it until they won the coin flip. Then I just looked at my friend and said, "Well, this game's over. They're done. This game's over with now." And sure enough, it was.
Yeah. Oh, Bob, do you have anything
absolutely
going on in your bye week?
Well, I'm just coming back from Gillette Stadium right now as we're talking. I got down there today. I do a podcast as well on Patriots.com and had a chance to talk about the Garoppolo trade, obviously, and look at, the Patriots in the second half of the season through the words of some of the assistant coaches talking about, the red zone issues and the running game and things of that nature. So, there's still work to be done on this particular team, even when they're not playing games. As we all know, there's always a story to follow for the Patriots. But I'll enjoy the weekend with my family. I have 2 young children and, try to devote as much free time to them as possible. And then hopefully get a chance to have a busman's holiday in front of the TV watching some football over the weekend as well. But before I do all that, I'll get ready for Game 7 of the World Series. It'd be nice to watch that without, the pressure of trying to do my football homework on a Wednesday night.
There you go.
So for all the listeners out there, what's the name of your podcast? Where can they find it?
Yeah, it's on Patriots.com, and it's really original name, the Bob Socci Show. But we do it every Wednesday live from 4 to 6, and then as I say, it's archived. And this week, Greg Bedard from Boston Sports Journal and I talk about the Garoppolo trade and some of what went into it, and what will come out of it. And then we'll hear toward the end of the podcast from Matt Barrows, who covers the 49ers, about the San Francisco perspective on the deal. And in between, like I said, comments from Patriots coaches. We'll hear some highlights from the game between the Patriots and the Chargers last weekend. And each week we do 2 hours. As I said, Wednesdays 4 to 6 live on Patriots.com. And then it's archived on iTunes and Patriots.com and wherever else you might be able to find your favorite podcasts. Or not your favorite podcast.
That's awesome. So, Chris, you have any more questions for Bob?
No, I think we've took enough of his time up. Thanks for coming on and enjoy your time off.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. Chris and Steve, I really appreciate being with you guys, and thanks for listening. And hopefully we have another trip to the Super Bowl in store for us. And if that's the case, hopefully it doesn't take the greatest comeback ever to win number 6. But I really appreciate it. Great being with you guys tonight.
You're welcome. Have a good night, Bob. Thank you.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. Take care. Like I said, I really appreciate your support and listening, and we'll talk to you hopefully a week from Sunday.
Absolutely.
All right. All the best. Have a good holiday, too. All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was pretty cool.
Yep.
So, yeah, as we were talking... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I said it's quite a story you get to hear from, his Navy experience. That's something I didn't have any idea about.
Right, learn something new every day. And as we were talking to Bob, Josh Gordon's been reinstated by the NFL.
Really?
Yep.
I wonder what the next step is for him.
I'm looking it up right now. It says on a conditional basis. I mean, obviously he can't be traded. He'd have to be released.
Well, it is Cleveland, so anything's possible, really, right?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, he's a weird situation because he's a great talent. He's been out of the league for a while. You wonder if he's going to get any of that back. Have not played as he stayed in shape. I mean, this shape and then this football shape.
Right. I just remember when they played us, I think he had like a huge game against us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was one of the top receivers in the game. And then all of a sudden he just started, smoking the reef and kind of went south from there.
Right.
It's too bad because he's a hell of a talent.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, he's fast. He catches pretty much anything thrown his direction.
Exactly. I mean, so I just wonder if it's a situation where he's ever going to get to where he's at. Again, prior to all this problems.
Right. Yeah, it's really tough. If he gets caught, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bill takes a shot on him. They could use the help.
Right. See, I have a few theories about why nothing actually got done on the trade deadline with the Patriots. Everyone was kind of complaining, well, this didn't happen. You got to figure they got people coming back. So Valentine's coming back. McClellan's supposed to be coming back. So that's going to be a linebacker help, and that's going to be a line help right there. They haven't ruled out Malcolm Mitchell coming, being out yet permanently. So there's hope that he comes in as a receiver. He knows the system already. So there's three bodies right there. So that's going to help all the way around.
Pretty sure they can only activate 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah, there's a limit. You can only bring 2 back. So, they definitely missed Mitchell big time as far as, possessions and stuff.
So who would you actually bring back if it was your choice to bring back? The 2 players.
Oh, Mitchell, definitely, if he's capable. No question about it.
Who'd be the other person? Oof. You want to get linebacker help, or do you want to put someone on the line? That's pretty much your 2 options.
I would bring back the linebacker because McClellan does special team stuff as well, I believe.
Right.
I liked him. He was pretty good last year.
Oh, he definitely came in, and made moves.
Right.
It's funny watching, the game last Sunday against the Chargers, where they got the safety on the special teams. I didn't know what that guy was doing. I'm sitting there watching. He drops the ball. I'm like, okay, I'm assuming he's just going to go out of bounds now. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, you're going to be pinned in deep. But then he tries going all the way across the field, dips into his end zone, and then tries running it out. It's like, oh, my God. See, that's the difference right there with coaching, because something like that would never happen on a Belichick coach team.
Now, I think he's a pretty good return guy like that, but I think he's done that kind of crap more than once.
I think it might have been a situation where he was just maybe he was cocky and thought he could get around everybody, but not the case. I mean, they were on him quick, and it seemed almost like as they seen the way direction he was going, they proceeded to go even quicker onto him.
Right.
It's weird because it was great. I mean, you see stuff from a different angle. It's like I'm watching. I'm like, well, okay, and I'm talking to you about it, and they're like, oh, well, you're a little bit ahead of us. You just like the Melvin Gordon run, for example, when he took it to the house. I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, damn, he's slow. There's no way he's going to get through that hole all the way through.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he just took off, and they couldn't catch him. And I still don't think he's got fast breakaway speed. You see the two safeties, or the DBs anyways, and they're just running for all they're worth to try to catch this guy. And I'm like, they're going to catch him. There's no doubt. I mean, he looks like he's running in wet concrete. They didn't catch him. I couldn't believe it. It's like a total shock to the system. I'm like, and it's kind of, it was frustrating because they had him lined up in the backfield. And then all of a sudden he just found a crease, a hole, and zoom, he was gone. It's like, oh my God, he's gone.
Yeah, I can't remember the linebacker, but there was one linebacker that took a bad angle and he was just gone.
He was nuts. Absolutely crazy. The whole situation that broke loose right there.
Hey, Tom Murphy, is that you?
That's me, guys. I'm sorry. I kept putting in the wrong PIN number. And, I apologize.
That's okay. So we got Tom Murphy, columnist at Sports X Media, host of the Sports Infusion and One Patriots Place. So thanks for jumping on with us, man. Appreciate it.
WBLD.
I apologize for my tardiness, guys. I apologize for my tardiness. How we doing, gentlemen?
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me. Like I said, man, I'm going to keep apologizing because that was awful rude. Sucks to be dyslexic, folks. Okay. Don't do it. Don't grow up dyslexic. Awful.
We were just talking about.
I had to have Butchie come over here and punch the numbers in so I could get in.
Kids know best.
That's what they say.
So,
yeah.
What have I missed? What's on the table? What's going on?
We were talking about the game Sunday.
Bob Socci, so. Yeah, we were just talking about last Sunday's game against the Chargers, how fast Melvin Gordon, we didn't think he was, but that breakaway run he had was pretty impressive.
Yeah, not bad for a guy with turf toe, huh?
Right? Yeah, I think that'd do it for sure, right? It's like, holy crap. How's he going to be when he's healthy?
I wouldn't mind it if we didn't already have all the depth that we have, and if the fact that Melvin just completely takes games and quite frankly seasons off. It's nice. It's nice when he's got a big hole there and nobody's setting the edge for him to jump out on. It was quite a run, and after that, you could basically talk about two busted plays that essentially put all the points on the board for Chargers last weekend, and after that, it was textbook New England Patriots style bend but don't break football.
Yeah. I mean, well, the last 4 weeks they've given up, I think, 12.5 points a game to, guys like Matt Ryan, who's not really having a great year. Phillip Rivers is decent. I mean, probably not as great as it used to be, but
he's tough as nails.
Yeah.
Phillip
He
Rivers,
always seems to play well against the
monster.
Yeah, I mean, I've liked how the defense has headed the last few weeks.
I definitely like the way the defense has been heading the past couple of weeks. The guys have really gotten onto the same page. I'm not gonna point fingers at Stephon Gilmore. I'm not gonna do that. But the communication has been a lot better. It looks like people know where they're supposed to be and where they're supposed to go, who they're supposed to cover, and things have really started to gel. It's starting to look like the defense that we all expected back in June and July that we were all talking about.
Yeah, I'm a big defensive guy anyways. I picked them as a top 5 defense to start out, and I'm just going to hope they can fall into the top 10, which I think they are going to when push comes to shove, and when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean they'll probably be top 10, 10 to 12 points given up wise by the end of the year.
Oh, without a doubt, they're always right there. That's the hallmark of the Belichickian way of coaching. We don't care what you do inside the from the 20 to the 20. It's after that we're going to make you take field goals and while we're scoring touchdowns. And that seems to be a bit of an issue right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the big concern, at least for me on the offense, is the red zone. For whatever reason, they're just can't seem to punch it in consistently.
Yeah, without a doubt. It has to be concerning for a team that has been so out of their minds good in the red zone over the past, 10 years. Okay, let's just put it that way. 10 years that they have just owned the red zone, and it's not happening this year. They're still trying to adjust and see what they can do without Julian Edelman there. Gronk does his job where he's sitting there pulling away most of the coverage down in the red zone, or at least double coverage, and it's usually leaving somebody open, or at least giving somebody an opportunity to get a pass from Tom Brady because they've gotten some separation and he's going to hit a hole. But that hasn't really happened yet, but I think that's going to change. I think that'll change in the next week or two. I like the fact that Rex Burkhead is back. We're going to see more targets for Mr. White down there in the red zone, and of course, Danny Amendola. The healthier he gets, the bigger of, no pun intended, the bigger of a weapon he's going to be when they're down inside the 20.
Yeah.
Right.
And at least with him, the bigger the game, the bigger he seems to play.
Oh, with no
time, it seems.
It's amazing. I don't call the guy clutch for nothing because, when the game's on the line, when you need a first down, when the calendar flips over from November to December and December to January and January to February, you're right, boss. He just keeps getting better and better. I don't think there are many people in the history of this franchise, and that's saying a lot, many receivers that Tom has trusted as much as Danny Amendola.
No doubt.
I guess maybe Kevin Falk, the only one that really comes to mind.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
But, like you said,
I think we romanticize. I think we all romanticize Falk a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I've always liked him. There were other people I would have put in the Hall of Fame before him, but it was kind of balls to the wall what he did at the draft a couple of years ago.
Right.
And his jersey sales kind of went through the roof. I don't know if you still get cut a check on jersey sales after you retire or not, but I hope for Kevin's sake he does.
That was a ballsy move for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Gronk seems a little hesitant to me, though. Like, something's up with him. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, but I was at the game Sunday, and he just looked kind of hesitant. I don't know if it's the way it was just a bad game for him. I mean, he had a touchdown and a few points, but there was a few balls he just looked like he just dropped. Like, I don't know. It was kind of a weird thing to see. Like on the flea flicker where Brady went to Cooks. He missed Hogan. Hogan was wide open. It would have been a touchdown easy. You'd have walked in. Like, the guy's wide open, and he's doing the Cooks. What the hell are you doing? He's wide open.
So
that's a play. That particular play, I think you're going to see down the road happen, and he's not going to miss Hogan if he's like that again. That'll definitely be.
So did you mean Brady's a bit hesitant? You said Gronk.
No, Gronkowski. He looked a little hesitant to me. Like, I don't know, like not like himself.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's, getting the pass interference with him or what the deal is.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great point, Chris. That's a great point. A lot of it does have to do with that. I mean, I've made a big deal about this on my show. You guys have seen me on Twitter. I haven't been writing that much because it's just, it's angry writing, and I hate writing angry.
Yeah.
But the fact that there are two separate sets of rules for receivers in the NFL and defensive players in the NFL. There's one for Rob Gronkowski and then one for everybody else. And if Rob Gronkowski is breathing on anybody, the flags are getting called. And I think you're seeing him look more hesitant and more tentative because he knows the play is probably not going to him, and he doesn't want to get it pulled back on a I'm not sure if I can swear on this show or not, on a BS call that is going to take something away from Hogan or from Cooks. But yeah, Brady really screwed up there, man. I mean, there was nobody around Brandon. I mean, there was nobody around Chris Hogan on that play. But I think that's what you and the public are seeing, that when the play is going to him, and I hope, nobody's listening to the show that is going to be playing against the Patriots next week, because, you guys have a huge audience, and you never know. But when the play is going to Gronkowski, it does seem balls to the wall. And I'm seeing, just because you said that, it's clicking in my head that you're right. When the play is not necessarily, he is not the first read for Tom, that it's a little more hesitant, and I do think it's because of those OPI calls that he just keeps getting. He's just racking them up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
A little worrisome. Well, hold on a second. I got a good point to make for a second. That's very worrisome to me, because who's to say the defense isn't going to pick up on that? He's not going full out, so the play's not to him at all. They're going to zero in on somebody else. And there was a few times where there was no question about it. It was pass interference against him. He got manhandled for the ball didn't get to him. No flags whatsoever. But like you said, he breathed on something that they throw a flag. There was a play in the fourth quarter. I don't know if they showed it on TV. Well, they showed it on TV, but I don't know how clear it was. Brady kind of went forward and kind of dropped down, like a little draw play, because he had to scramble.
Yep.
Well, the linebacker kind of put him in like a chokehold and kind of reached back on him.
Yeah.
That should have been a call right there, and they looked the other way. It's like, oh my God, if that was a Patriot player, flags would have been flying all over the place. There's always a set of rules against the Patriots, and then there's the regular rules. And frankly, it's bullshit, and it's very frustrating as a fan to see that.
I agree, bud.
Yeah, I mean, even Gronk, he did an interview after the game, and somebody asked him, how do you think you played today? And he even came out and said himself he needed to do better. He's like, I didn't really feel like I was giving my best effort. So at least he acknowledged it.
He dropped a few balls where Gronkowski just doesn't drop. It's just as simple as that. He doesn't drop balls like that. In that particular game, I don't know what the situation was. Maybe it was in his head like we were talking about, but I don't know. something was off. And then obviously the touchdown in the end zone. I mean, any one of us could have caught that ball. I mean, there's no. How do you leave a target like him that wide open? There's no one around him.
No.
No one.
Like,
I mean, even he went across the middle too, so it wasn't like he was on that side and just stayed over there. He went across the middle. So,
yeah, and he said it in the press conference afterwards that they run that play in practice, and often he'll have 3 defenders around him, and sometimes it'll be the same thing. There'll be nobody there, and like Steve, I don't know how they could miss Rob Gronkowski. I mean, it's like, a polar bear walking down your street in front of the house. How the hell do you miss that?
right.
That's going to make it on YouTube. It's insane to think that you don't have somebody on Rob Gronkowski. But I mean, then again, we've seen the Patriots do the same thing, the first 3-4 weeks of this season, where we're asking, how is somebody not there? How is somebody not covering someone?
Right.
How can somebody be that wide open? There are busted plays, but personally, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm telling somebody, Gronk is your man.
Right.
You need to be there. And for a good part of the game, somebody was. And like we were talking about a minute ago, and Steve, my partner, Steve Balistreri, mentioned this week, we were talking about the pass interference calls that the Patriots aren't getting. It's almost to the point now where teams are figuring they're not going to throw the flag on us every single time.
Right.
So we might as well do it. Also, the fact that it's almost to the point where I felt that they would rather take the flag and take the 10 yards or 12-yard route that Gronk has run and put the ball there than let Rob catch the ball and do something with it, because we all know what Rob can do with yards after the catch. It's some of the sickest football that any of us have ever seen. So I'd rather give up 10 yards and a first down than 35 yards and, goal to go or a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, his
Mannion when they missed
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I just said it's Mannion when it's one thing if you miss a call. I mean, at some point in human nature, you're going to miss a call. But when it happens directly in front of you, like a few of those plays did, there's no. I mean, if you're not going to call on one team, don't do it on the other. I mean, those plays that happen where it was 5 feet away from the guy, and he's just sitting there. It's like, oh my God! I don't remember who it was. I think it was Amendola. Cut to the corner, and he got tackled for the ball, got there. Same thing. Very obvious penalty call. If you're not going to call it on one team, swallow the whistle and then play. That's how I look at it.
That's it. You're absolutely right. Let's all play on this, by the same rules. That's it. That's all we want to do from the time we run our kids out there playing Pop Warner to, what we're paying to see every Sunday. Excuse me. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze there.
So what do you think of the Jimmy trade?
Oh, well, for your listeners who haven't heard it, I'm not happy. Not happy at all. If this deal was going to get made, I thought that it should have been made back prior to the draft when the Pats were offered a lot more. I am still in that camp. Those are the things that I heard then, that they were offered a ton more. I'm not buying the fact that Bill didn't trade him to Cleveland because they didn't want him to stay in the AFC. I'm not sure why they took this deal now, because I think there are other teams that might have offered more. But no, I'm not happy at all. I'm not. We have a 40-year-old quarterback that I don't see a cliff coming. But the fact of the matter is, this is a man that's taken a pounding this year, and we are 2 inches away from having Brian Hoyer as our quarterback. I think Jimmy is somebody that if Tom did go down, if Tom went down for the rest of the season, let's be honest, guys, it might be his career. If he had another injury where he blew out his knee, that just might be it. You know, he might just say, that's it. I'm not going through this again to come back. I doubt it. He probably would try. But it still could happen. And I was convinced, like so many other of us around here were, that Jimmy is the next guy. Jimmy is the man that could stay here for 10 years and keep the New England Patriots relevant. I mean, we're all old enough that we remember the dark days in the 70s and, empty Sullivan Stadium and, walking up to the counter to get tickets and buying the cheapest seat in the house and sitting on the 50-yard line anyway. We all remember when, at least for me, my family Sunday dinners during football season would depend on if the Pats were home or away. Okay, if the Pats were home, Sunday dinner was at my house because it was outside of the blackout area. And if it was an away game, it was at my grandmother's house in Somerville because that was in the blackout area and we could all go there. But there was an invasion of green plates into my neighborhood whenever the Pats were at home because, I come from a large Irish family, but it's not large enough that we can sell out the stadium. And
right.
So but we all remember those days. And right now, just like my good friend Russ Goldman said the other day on my show, we're back at square one. We don't have the next guy. We don't have the backup to the next guy. Not that I ever thought Jacoby Brissett was going to be anything more than a backup in this league. I'm happy that whatever success that he does have. And when that deal went down, I didn't think that there was a snowball's chance in hell that this one went down. I'm not happy about it. I don't know if I would have asked Tom to retire or if I would have traded Tom. I just would have liked to have had Jimmy here for at least the end of the year, and I would have lived with a compensatory pick if they weren't going to franchise him and keep him around for another year, which is what I would have done. I would have figured out a way to franchise him and keep him here for another year. That's what I thought was going to happen. It's too rare. It's too difficult to find that next guy. And Bill has done it twice now, I think, with guys that nobody else thought would be that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's my take. I think they screwed up. I do. I think Bill screwed up. I made a career out of calling him out on things and making a stink, and it's kept me out of a lot of rooms. But a few years ago, after maybe the last Super Bowl, I gave, not the last one, but against the Seahawks. After they beat the Seahawks, I kind of threw my hands up and said, I'm not going to do it anymore. When I write, articles about the upcoming draft, I'm just going to say who I'd like to see here. I'm not going to try to predict what Bill does. Right. I'm not going to get on him for the picks that he makes. But this one has really, thrown me into the Wayback Machine with Mr. Peabody there. I don't want to. I can't get behind it. I really can't.
Yeah, it's bizarre how they did it mid-season. To me,
should have gotten, if they're going to trade him, but they should have gotten a lot more. They didn't, people say you didn't maximize value. They really didn't.
Mm-hmm.
He lost a lot of what he could have gotten earlier in the process, and it just, I don't know if he wanted. All right, it was really arrogant that Bill didn't trade him when he did, thinking that he could talk him into staying here for less money. I know they were in negotiations. A lot of people have talked about it. Mike Reese has talked about it. Yeah. A few other people have talked about it. And it just got to the point where, they weren't going to deal with Don Yee anymore because it became obvious that Jimmy wasn't going to sign for backup money. He didn't want to be Don Strock. He wants to start. And this is something that Bill should have known last summer. And he should have taken care of it. And he should have used the opportunity to make the team better. They moved Jimmy Garoppolo, and this team is no better. Okay? They could have done something to make this team this season better because there are holes on this team. This team is thin in a lot of places. Another injury or two, and you might as well just write off this season and start thinking about next. And that doesn't mean that the Patriots won't make the playoffs. I think they will. But around here, just making the playoffs is not the goal. This isn't Peyton Manning under center. We're not Mr. One and Done. We're not just happy to be here and going to hang a banner for it.
Right.
There's only one goal, and that's to get another Lombardi, and to at the very least get to an AFC title game, which is where Tom Brady has really lived his entire life. Is at least getting to that AFC title game, if not to Super Bowl. 7 of the man's 9 losses in the postseason have come either in the Super Bowl or in the AFC title game. And people still want to argue. He's got 9 losses. 7 of them have been with, right there at the peak. And people still want to argue whether or not this man was the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, that's pretty much a non-argument at this point.
Yeah.
That's a staggering stat when you think about it.
It really is, man.
Yeah, it's unreal.
It really is. 9 losses in the postseason. People just 3 or 4 years ago were talking about, who's the best of all time, him or Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has 9 losses in the first round or in his first game in the playoffs. 9 times one and done.
Wow.
And this is a man that has 2 losses in the Super Bowl and 5 losses in AFC title games. And that's not like you lost to the Jets in the first round, every year, or it's just pathetic. The argument that these people come up with, I don't get it. There was discussion a few years ago whether or not it was him or Montana. Now there just can't be. It was done for me at 4. Everybody had no. You've got no reason to talk. Just go sit over there and sip your beer full of tears. But now it's even worse. Now that he has 5, I don't even want to talk to you people. I don't even want to talk.
Yeah, that's where I was at too. Pretty much after you won the 4th, I'm like, well, the debate's over now. Now I get 5. There's really nothing to talk about.
That's it. And
that me, number 2 is still Montana.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. You go to 4, you win 4, you do it in the way that Montana has. It's not disrespectful to Joe Montana, except maybe to Mrs. Montana. She might think that way, and I know Joe does, because Joe's the biggest egotistical son of a bitch that ever walked the face of the earth. I mean, after me. But but it's really a non-issue. Anybody that wants to debate it just does it because they don't like the Patriots. And it would have been a lot easier to not like Joe Montana back in the day of, in the 80s, if there was the social media that we have today and the voice that we have. I mean, I knew a lot of people who couldn't stand Joe Montana. They just couldn't stand him. From the, just the fact that he went to Notre Dame, people couldn't stand him. But never mind the rest. And the difference in time that Tom did it, Joe did it in a very short span of time, where he was essentially playing with the same team every single year, just like they did in Pittsburgh. It was the same team that won those 4 Super Bowls. And Tom has just done it over a 15-year period, man. I mean, 3 in the beginning of his career, and now 3 and possibly 4 at the end of his career. It makes you want to bang your head against an imaginary wall.
Yeah.
So there'll be another one like him.
No, there won't. So let me ask you guys. How do you feel about the Patriots' second half of the season and what they have coming up? I mean, it's a tough schedule that they've still got to face here. 2 games against the Bills, 2 games against Miami. Those are always knockdown, drag out freaking games, and Miami made themselves worse. I mean, God, can you get dumber? But it's honest to God, I was tweeting the other day that in New England, if you're not on the same page as the team or Bill Belichick, they're going to send you to Cleveland, go to the gulag. But in Miami, well, no, if you want to be a smart aleck and not, step in line with everybody else, we're going to send you to a Super Bowl contender. I don't get that. But the Bills have done some good things. What do you guys think of what's coming up?
Yeah, I mean,
the Bills make me nervous as hell. But the only team I'm really worried about is Kansas City. I don't want to see them play them in Arrowhead under no circumstances.
Not going to have to, bud.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to.
I mean, the 5 out of the 6 on the road.
For some reason, they have them.
Andy Reid will just screw something up. He will. Yeah. He'll get to the stadium at the wrong time. He'll think it's a 1 o'clock game and get there. I mean, a 4 o'clock game. He'll think it's a 1 o'clock game and get there 3 hours late, and he'll mess something up. It's terrible. I need more scotch. I'm sorry. But he will. Andy Reid always screws something up when the game's on the line. That's the reason why he never won in Philadelphia and was driven out of there. It's just because he's a great coach. He's just too stupid for his own good at sometimes. And what coming up? The division games bug me. They always bug me. The Steelers, I can't wait for that. I've got no issue with that game coming up. But it always comes down to what. Oh, sorry, I just got attacked by a tiger. It always comes down to what Buffalo has in the tank, and right now, you guys said this is a team that believes in themselves. There was a lot of addition by subtraction. They just added tall, dark, and stupid. Why am I? Who did they?
Benjamin.
Yeah,
Kelvin Benjamin. That was a really smart move by Carolina, by the way. I love them moving him. I think Buffalo gave up a bit too much, but
2 picks. Yeah,
they're making a push. They're making a push for the playoffs. They haven't been there in a very long time. They're making a push, and they're going in, and they have the extra. But the thing is, it's a team that believes in themselves. They play good defense. I like their quarterback. You have to love what they have there in the backfield. And a team that believes in themselves and has a fan base that, has no problem with throwing dildos and having sex in their parking lot, just really, is always scary.
And filming it. Yeah.
And filming it for the world to see. Thumbs up, everybody. Two huge thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm Cisco. I'm Ebert. I'll see you at the Bills game.
I mean, I'm not concerned. I'm more intrigued to see what happens with 5 of the next 6 on the road. That Mexico City game's kind of a curveball against Oakland. I mean, Oakland, they're playing like trash this year, so I don't know what's up with their defense.
I mean, I have no respect at all for Del Taco, their head coach out there, and he let them believe their own press. That's right. I think Derek Carr is the best quarterback, not named Tom Brady, or you put it this way, I think Derek Carr is the best quarterback under the age of 30 in the NFL. But what happened out there is that they started believing their own press. They were reading it. They knew that they were supposed to, and they didn't stick to the plan. They didn't take it as a challenge to live up to that. They thought they were already there. And I think we're seeing that right now. That and the fact that I said adding Marshawn Lynch was a mistake. Everybody said, you're nuts, Murph. And it's too long a time away from football, especially when you don't care about football. And Marshawn Lynch just doesn't care. He's really never gave a damn. That's why he was sent away from Buffalo. And he had played with a chip on his shoulder for a little while, but that didn't last. Could see it when Casillas and Mayo dragged him. Not Mayo. Casillas and Hightower dragged him down at the 5, and then everybody's wondering why they didn't hand the ball off again. Well, we just gave him a shot and he fucked it up. Let's give it to the guy that that should be the MVP of this game, and put this thing away. I still don't think it was a bad call. I just think, the Patriots, made the play.
Right.
And so, no, I'm not worried about them at all. What I am worried about is Mexico City because, the Patriots have not done well at high altitudes, have they, guys?
No. Denver's like a black hole for them.
Yep, it is. And Mexico's even higher than Denver. So we'll see. Yeah,
I can't wait. It's good for the players to have the bye week, but it kind of sucks for us fans.
It does. Really blows, man. And I've said before that there should be 2 bye weeks, and then I've written articles about fixing Thursday night football, and I said it's been really easy. It would be really easy to do. Is if you added a bye week to everybody's schedule, and then you staggered the front end of the season, where the AFC starts in 1 week and the NFC starts the next week, and then you start your Thursday night. You get your first 2 Thursday night games out of that, and then you take 2 weeks off, and then you start scheduling them off of bye weeks, because you just can't expect these men to play 2 football games in a span of just a little over 72 hours. You really can't do it. And but no, just to circle back around, every time the bye weeks are there, I'm twiddling my thumbs saying, shit, another goddamn bye week. I hate bye weeks. What am I going to do with myself? I have to watch shitty football.
Right.
I got nothing to look forward to. The wife always knows what week the bye week is, because I agree to go do something with her on that Sunday.
Yeah.
Sure, honey.
Right,
we'll go to how about this? We'll go antiquing that Sunday. That the Sunday you want to go into? We'll do that. Okay.
Right.
Look at me. That's the bye week, isn't it? Yep.
That's awesome. So, Chris, you got anything else for Murph?
I think that's it.
All right, guys.
I'll talk to him on Twitter, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I want to thank you guys for having me here. It was a real pleasure. I hope to I did well enough that you'd call me back and ask me to come on again, and I promise next time that I won't be in an emergency room and I will not be tardy. I will have my son come over and punch the digits in from the get-go, and I'll be here on time.
So where can everybody find you?
All right, but you can, folks, anybody out there, if you want to read me, you can read me at sportsxmedia.com. You can follow me on Twitter at tmurph207, and you can hear me on WBLZ Radio 2 nights a week on the Sports Infusion. That's now it's on Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock, and every week on One Patriots Place at 5 p.m. You guys, thanks for having me here. It was a blast. You two were fantastic. And, you can follow me on Twitter at tmurph207. I probably didn't say that, or I probably did. Like I said, I need more scotch. Guys, thanks again.
You're welcome. Have a good night, man.
All right, bye.
Bye. Oh, yeah, so little bit on the Celtics. Gordon Hayward did a blog post that he's done for the year.
Right.
So I guess it was kind of a long shot anyways, but now it's official.
Right.
So it's
we'll get into that more later on that one.
Yep. So they got Celtics coming up. They're going for 6 in a row tonight against Sacramento. That should be a good game. And then they get Friday down in OKC, so that should be a slugfest.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
They've been playing well. 5 wins in a row is pretty impressive after the way they started.
Definitely.
Kyrie looks like he's really coming into his own with the offense. Doesn't seem to be thinking as much, which is good.
Does his best just that way.
Yep. And then, there's rumors now Okafor wants out of Philadelphia. Do you let Philly buy him out? Or do you try to make a trade for him using that disabled players exception? Tough way, either way.
Yeah, it's a weird situation to be in.
Yeah.
Because you never know what they're going to do.
No. And Bruins are struggling lately. Tuukka's back, but the team in general has been struggling. David Backes now, it was announced today, he's going to be out 2 months. He's having part of his colon removed from his battle with diverticulitis, so he's out for a couple months. So the injury bug strikes again for them.
And that type of year for him.
Yep, so just more experience for the young guys. They need to step up for sure.
Well, we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah.
Long season.
Right. Anything else you want to get into, or you want to wrap it up?
Nah, I think we should wrap it up.
Cool. All right, yeah, check us out. The store, www.diehardbostonsportsfans.com. You can find our merchandise on there. Also, go to the Lee Postal Center, USA in Lee, New Hampshire. Tell Eli we sent we got some good stuff there as well. Where can everyone find you on Twitter, Chris?
Chris the Hood 420.
And we got a company one, Die Hard Boss Fans, and I have a personal one. We play for titles. You can find us on Facebook at Die Hard Boston Sports Fans. That's the page. We also have a group with the same name, so come join the group. We'd love to have you guys in there. It's a pretty fun-loving group, family-type atmosphere. So we're also on Instagram as well with Die Hard Boss Fans, and we play for titles. So thanks in advance for everyone who downloads and listens to this. If you like it, please share it. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.